Yep.
Hey everybody, my name is DeWayne Carron. I'm an educator here with Gammill and I want to welcome you back to another Facebook Live. Today we're going to look and have a sneak peek inside our Gammill machine. While we take a minute to let some people hop on and get logged in, I want to remind everybody to check out the virtual quilt show we have coming up this fall. Gammill has teamed up with a couple of other companies, several other companies actually, Hobbs and Bernina, and a lot of other companies to bring the virtual quilt show to us this fall. It's November 9th through the 15th, and there will be several opportunities for online education from world-renowned educators from across the quilting world, both in live classes and pre-recorded classes. So that's a very nice opportunity. Also, there will be a vendor's mall, a big vendor's mall. We'll have a quick checkout in the vendor's mall, accelerated checkout in the vendor's mall, and also the quilt competition. So in this show this year, this fall, we're going to have two different divisions in the quilt show. There will be a professional division and a aspiring division, and then we'll have multiple prize categories for each one of those divisions. So that should be a really cool opportunity. So I guess we'll go ahead and get started here. If you've ever wondered about what's going on inside your Gammill machine, where all that oil goes when we oil our machine, that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's go over here. I was in West Plains the other day and I thought about this machine and I brought it up for this live event today. This machine was a rescue. Eric in tech support tells us that this might possibly be the only Gammill machine that we've not ever been able to repair, simply because it was completely broke in half right here. So it's gone on to live another life as a nifty little training tool, little cutaway training machine. So we get an opportunity today to see exactly what's going on inside of our machine today. So I guess what we'll do is we'll start out with oil and our oil routes. Is there people on there? We're doing good? Okay. We're going to talk a little bit about our oil routes here. And I know when I started out that I wondered why we put 12, 13 drops of oil, something like that, in this reservoir, but only 1 or 2 in some of these other ones. And this is the reason why. These orange tubes are tubes when they have a little cotton wick on the inside of them. And we drop our however much oil we put in when we run our oil routine into this reservoir. This is actually a reservoir, and the oil comes out of the bottom right here and into these tubes, and it's fed to these various bushings along this oil route inside of our machine. So as the oil comes out, it goes down, lubricates this bushing, this other tube comes out and goes through, lubricates this bushing down to this section right here, and this bushing is lubricated, and so on. So if we follow all this coming down this oil route, we see that that tube is actually extended all the way back through, comes down, picks up this little carrier bushing right in here, continues on down and through this bushing, and it lubricates this little bushing where it goes back through. And I want to show you this because this is important. Right down in the top of our machine if we can scan in, can we see the wick and the tube right down there in the top? We can see that little cotton wick coming over top of our little cam that drives our rocking finger right through here. Shoot right in through here, and maybe you can see it just a little bit better.
There.
There it is, that copper tube. And, oh, perfect. Yeah, it might not zoom in quite that close. So that oil route comes all the way back down and runs all the way through our machine and lubricates our machine all the way down to the front, right behind our hook and race assembly down here in the front. So as we go back down our main shaft, we know that we put just a couple of drops of oil in this little oil port right here. And what that does is, you can see it just goes down this very short tube right here and lubricates this little bushing right here. So as we go down the shaft, we have this oil port right here that lubricates this big large bushing that runs back through here. And then we have our two ports on this machine, these two ports up here on the top. And the way these work is very simply, the oil just comes down these little wicks and drips down into our needle bar and down on our hopping foot bar. And lastly, we have this little wick right here, which absorbs any oil down here in the bottom of our head and wicks it back up and around our hopping foot lever right here. So our whole machine is lubricated. It seems to last forever, as these machines just seem to be eternal. So let's look at the drivetrain real quick, and we'll show you some things that you will very rarely be able to see. Our main shaft comes back through here, our motor sets up here, and our shaft is driven, our main shaft is driven from the motor. So it comes down and it drives this shaft, and this shaft comes down to the bottom and it drives our lower shaft, which goes all the way through our machine and drives our rocking finger and our hook and race assembly. So let's go back down through here and we'll look at that real quick. That shaft is run all the way through the bottom of our machine. And it goes down, it goes through this bushing, and then it comes out in our front of our machine down here. So let's shoot right straight in here and we can see. I'm going to show you how this works with our rocking finger. There's a little cam down here where that shaft comes through, and it drives our rocking finger right here, a little eccentric cam. And then the shaft comes back out right there, and this of course drives our hook and race assembly right here. And then our rocking finger goes up in here and does this job. So let's go back up to the top and we'll follow the top shaft back down. Our top shaft comes back through the top up here, goes through this bushing, and it comes down. We get to right here and we see this little sensor right here. This is a little electronic sensor with a magnet on it. And these sensors, that sensor and that sensor, there's a printed circuit card which sets up on top of our machine, and a lot of times it has the circuitry in it for our laser and everything, but it has needle positioning sensors in there which pick up on these little sensors, and it lets us know that our needle is in the correct position. So the shaft goes on down, it goes through, and it comes into this cam. This is another eccentric cam. You can see as we turn it, it kind of lopes up and down just a little bit. And what that does is, we're gonna go right here. As that cam turns, it applies more and less pressure to our intermittent tension disc. And what this does is it gives us a much more even thread tension as it's going through the thread path. Gives us much nicer stitching. So we have that little cam in there, and we come down just a little bit further, and if we look through here, we see we have this little knurled wheel on the, I guess, this little knurled face on this little bushing right here. And what that does is it drives our onboard bobbin winder. So with our bobbin winder, when we engage our bobbin winder, it pushes this wheel up against this knurled face and drives our bobbin winder like that. And this goes in there just like that. And when our bobbin is full, it flips the little lever up and it disengages the drive wheel here and stops. So we go on down our shaft right here. There's a big bushing that goes right through here, and our shaft comes out the other side. And at this point, we have all of this assembly in here. So all of this black part of this assembly, this cam, all of this is all for our rocking foot, our hopper foot down here. And it drives our, let's see, get my hand out of the way. It drives our hopper foot up and down, and you can see it moves up and down, and it's set excessively high. So I want to show you one thing in here. All of this assembly right here, all this black assembly is all to change the height of the hop of our hopping foot. We can change our hopping foot from a very slight hop to a great big hop like it's set right now. And we do that by engaging this lever, this button up here on the top of our machine into this little notch right here. So when our take-up lever back here is all the way up at its highest position, then we can engage that into that little slot, and then by turning our hand wheel either forwards or backwards, we adjust the how high our hopper foot will hop. So watch the online videos. If you need to adjust the height of your hopper foot, you'll have to adjust the how high it hops, but also you'll have to adjust your hopper foot a little bit by loosening the screw and moving it up and down, because as we adjust the height of our hopping foot, it not only does it hop higher, but it goes lower too. So watch the online video on how to do that, because sometimes it's necessary with say paper piece stars or those stack and whack type quilts, that we will have to adjust our hopper foot up and down to get over the large piecing or the deep piecing in some quilts. Make sure that you don't adjust it to where it's too high, and if you're doing ruler work, to where it'll hop over your ruler. So our shaft comes down out of our hopper foot assembly and through this bar and back over here and down, and then our shaft moves on. This is our hand wheel that we use all the time. And then we get to the front back here, and this entire crankshaft assembly in here, right here in the front, drives everything from there on forward. So it drives our needle bar. This is our needle bar, which comes all the way through, and it drives our take-up lever. So that's kind of what I wanted to show you today, just kind of a quick little view on what's really going on inside of our machines. I always found it very interesting how they work, and it answers a lot of questions when you really just are able to see what's going on in here and why we put so much oil back here and why we only put a couple of drops in these, because they just simply won't hold very much oil. So anyway, is there any questions in there?
Let me look.
We're gonna look for questions.
Cindy says, does the wick lay on top there at the bobbin?
Yes, it lays across the top. It kind of just lays across the top. Usually there's just a little loop in it, and we're talking about down here, back in here. And sometimes it's hard to see, but you can almost always see this little copper shaft that comes out of there. But it lays across, the wick just lays across that cam and just wicks a little bit of oil on there. Sometimes what happens is you're blowing this out, like if you use canned air or something and you blow it, that little wick will get blowing up, and when you're cleaning, just have a peek back in there and make sure that it's just kind of laying back down.
Let's see if there's some things. Why do I get oil out from under the back bottom of the machine onto the table, maybe the size of a big drop?
Oh, and that is normal. These bushings are not 100%. Come back here and I'll show you. In the back here, you can see this casting this is all just like one reservoir back here in the back. When you look down at the bottom just a little bit. So it's just gonna kind of lay down in there. Sometimes that oil comes out of those bushings and it lays back down in there, and that's normal. And this little white plug that's in the bottom of our machine back here is just not absolutely 100% oil tight. So we'll get a drip of oil out of there, and then we have this whole section in our casting down here in the bottom that is just completely open. So sometimes we'll get some oil out of in here as well.
Let's see if there's any more questions. Let me scroll here.
Oh, there was a question. How did it get cracked at the top? I have no idea. This machine has been around for quite a while, and I don't know what kind of a trauma it suffered, but
Andrew has a video on how to drain excess oil. Where is that?
I don't know. I can post that after a while.
All right. Oh, Andrew already answered.
Oh, Andrew already answered. Well, there we go.
Where is the oil well, and where does the oil go when you do empty it?
We'll have to watch the video.
Uh-huh. How often should I oil my machine?
Well, we like to oil our machine like every 8 to 12 hours of stitching. So that's 8 to 12 hours of continuous stitching of work, you know, and then follow the oil procedure, you know, depending on your region. If you're in a very dry house or a very arid region, you might want to oil it just a little bit more. I like to see a drop or two of oil on the bed of the machine, like in the morning when I go to work, and then I know that that oil is indeed migrating all the way through my machine and it's getting enough oil.
Let's see if anyone else. checking for questions. Don't think there is any more questions.
Think you got them? Well, anyway, it was fun bringing you this little Facebook Live today. We appreciate everybody hopping on today and joining us. Like I said, be sure to check out the virtual quilt show. I wanted to thank everybody for the birthday wishes today. I really appreciate that. It's always nice. And I guess that's all we got. So we'll catch you next time, and we'll see you then. Thanks. Bye. I have no idea.